Hello everyone, welcome to another Friday recommendations video. I'm actually filming this far in advance, which is good because I was like, I can start filming these recommendation videos earlier because I know that that's what I'm putting up on Fridays, and so that's just something that inevitably just kind of makes sense. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Today I am recommending middle grade graphic novels that are fantasy based. I should say fantasy middle grade graphic novels. That would have made more sense. Duh. So I have 5. I always do 5. Some of these are releases from, oh, maybe it's only like one that's a release from this year. And the other ones are more backlists, which is fine. This is great. Yeah, either way, it's great. And let's go ahead and jump in so this is not too long. All right, so the first one that I have is Shakti. Shakti is a story about a young girl by the name of Shakti who moves with her 2 moms to Massachusetts. So queer rep in this one, to get a new start, and they're hoping to get a new start before Shakti's baby brother is born. So she ends up attending a new school. And when she attends this new school, she encounters these group of girls that are very strange. Like, they seem to have a hold over all the other students and all of the teachers. Like, no matter what they do wrong, somehow the blame is put on everyone else around them. And so eventually Shakti and a friend that she ends up making, they realize that it's because they are able to perform and practice magic. The group is called Heck. I was like, why couldn't I remember what this group of girls? The group is called Heck. And they find out that Heck is practicing magic, and so they realize that in order to stop them, they too have to practice magic. I think that this one is really unique. It is mixed in with, or the whole story revolves around Hindu mythology, and I really enjoyed the conversations about the power of emotions and that it is perfectly healthy to experience all emotions. I think sometimes we get into the habits of like telling kids, you know, don't be angry, don't be sad, and it's like, no, those are healthy emotions, or those are emotions that it's normal to experience those things, but there's ways to manage those emotions, and I think that that's what the emphasis should be on. And we kind of see that within Shakti because she has a relationship with, is 2 goddesses. So it's Durga Ma and Kali Ma, and Durga Ma is supposed to be the one that Shakti calls on to kind of help her, but instead gets Kali Ma, who is like, when you think destruction is often associated with her in terms of anger that's unchecked. So basically through the use of, I think, these 2 goddesses, we're getting this bigger discussion about management of emotions, what's healthy, what's not healthy, when you should kind of set up boundaries when it comes to your emotions. And I just really liked it. The artwork in this one was really pretty. I mean, when I saw the cover alone, I was like, oh yeah, this is one that I'm definitely interested in picking up, and it did not disappoint. The next one that I have is the 5 World series, which is a 5-book middle grade series, which I need to finish. I am on book 4 currently. And this is a series that I think progressively just gets so much better as you go through each volume. So the first one is The Sand Warrior, and of course I can't tell you much about the other ones, so I just give you a general synopsis of where you start in volume 1. It follows a main character by the name of Una, who lives in this fantastical world where there are 5 worlds that are essentially coexisting. Unfortunately, they're close or on the brink of extinction if someone is unable to light the 5 beacons. One beacon exists on each planet. And so when you meet Una, you find out that her sister was supposed to complete this task. She's a sand warrior, just like her sister, and unfortunately her sister actually ends up running away before she's able to complete the task. Una is not really the best sand warrior. She's actually pretty clumsy, just really doesn't have it together, but a surprise attack happens on her specific planet and she has to pair up with 2 other characters in order to essentially save the world as they know it. This gets really complex. It actually is a little bit darker than what I anticipate in terms of like what happens to characters, exploring like just different themes, but the artwork in this is, oh my god, it's so beautiful and rich and luscious, and I love that through the installments, like so each specific volume we get to know more about each planet, which then connects us to this bigger picture of what this universe is like as a whole. The next one that I have is Manu, which is, I don't want to say it's light fantasy because it's not, but it's fantasy, I would say more like contemporary fantasy, where it exists in the world as we know it. And so we follow a main character by the name of Manu who attends this school, and everyone at this school exhibits some sort of magical ability. Manu does not really fit in with anyone. They have issues kind of with self-awareness and being considerate of other people. And so as a reader, what I think is so fascinating is that when you're introduced to Manu as a character, she is inevitably annoying and very frustrating to read, but as you go through all of the panels, you realize that deep down Manu is really struggling with this feeling of just wanting to fit in and make friends. And so she does things in order to make friends, but it doesn't always go the way that she plans. What ends up happening is that she begins to struggle with her magic, and so her and her friend end up doing this ritual that it causes more issues than good when they were trying to help fix her magic, but it causes more issues than what is necessary. I think one of my favorite things about this graphic novel in particular is that it does speak to this feeling of companionship that I think a lot of us want. I don't know if everyone necessarily wants companionship, but I know that a lot of us do like the comfort of having a companion or two, and you really see that with Manu. And I think that this struggle of self-awareness is something that a lot of middle grade readers would definitely relate to, because in that stage, you know, you're learning more about yourself. I always say that the middle school years are always the toughest because you're not sure whether you want to be a teenager or a kid anymore, and you feel very stuck in between. A lot of kids are hitting puberty, a lot of hormones are raging, and so there's a lot of confusion about, you know, yourself and your friendships and where you see yourself like going in the future. It's just a lot to handle. This one I know got some criticisms because of the mixing of witchcraft and also Catholicism, but I read the afterword by the creator, and they stated that the reason why they did that is because it's true to their Dominican heritage and culture. And so I thought that that was just a fascinating tidbit about that one. The next one that I have is one that I think is perfect for the fall spooky time. Actually, I should change this to like both fantasy and paranormal. Say fantasy and paranormal middle grade graphic novels. That's what we're going to call it. But this one definitely lends to the more paranormal side, almost the same way as like Manu leads a little bit more to the paranormal side when we talk about witches. The Seance Tea Party focuses on a main character by the name of Laura. And Laura is having trouble dealing with the fact that her and her friends are making this transition into being teenagers, and so they're wanting to do more grown-up things, but Laura is really stuck on reminiscing about the times that they had when they were kids and still wanting to pretty much stay, not stuck necessarily as a kid, but wanting to stay in those moments. And she's having difficulty moving on in a way that her friends aren't. And so she meets this ghost, and that ghost kind of becomes her companion to help her stay stuck in that moment. But what's so interesting about this is that there's a much darker and heartbreaking theme that's going on, that's interwoven into their relationship, specifically related to the ghost, that I personally did not see coming. And so when we got to that point, it literally destroyed me. Such a beautiful book with beautiful artwork. I think that Yi did a very good job balancing these open panels with just artwork and the panels that had a lot of text. I think it was very intentional. It was perfect. I think the entire graphic novel is very atmospheric. For those of you who are like looking for spooky stuff, you know, that season, I definitely would recommend picking that one up. The next one and the last one that I have, this one also has a sequel coming out, I think next month or October. I think it's October the sequel to this one should be coming out, and it's The Awakening Storm, which is the first in the City of Dragons series. This is an interesting one. So I will say that this one does have a slower start. I know when I read it, I was surprised at how slow it was started, but once it picks up, it's moves super fast. But it focuses on a main character by the name of Grace, who ends up having to go to Hong Kong. There's some things in terms of parents, because I was going to say parental parents, that I almost don't want to say, because I feel like maybe it's not a spoiler, but I'm just going to hold it from saying it just in case like somebody does view this as a spoiler. But there's some things in regard to her parents. She ends up going back to Hong Kong, and when she gets there are some stories that her father used to tell her, very much so based on Chinese mythology. And what she's realizing is that things actually may be more true to his stories than what she was ever expecting. It's intriguing. It's just an intriguing story. I think that I love that Grace was able to find a strong group of friends to connect with, because she was struggling with that a lot throughout the text. I think that this is also a graphic novel where you have to understand and realize that no one is who they say that they are, or no one is who they appear to be. Like, I don't want to say you can't trust anyone, but maybe you shouldn't. It's just one of those. So in it, Grace is given this egg by this mysterious woman, and she is basically opened up into this world that she never expected. The artwork on this one was very bright. It was very fun. I really enjoyed it. And it ends on a cliffhanger. So if there's one that if you are excited to read this one and you read it, at least you know for a fact that you have a sequel that is coming to you in about a month and some change. So there you go. All right, y'all, that is it. Those are 5 middle grade I should say 5 fantasy / paranormal middle grade graphic novels for you to check out. If there's any specific themes or tropes or anything like that that you would like to see me cover in these Friday recommendation videos, make sure you let me know down in the comment box below. As always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content from me, click the subscribe button and hit the bell for notifications, and I will be back with another video soon.